What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. We are rolling down the road in the 64 Buick Skylark. In this episode, we have gone through, done a bunch of work to it, got all the lighting working on it, installed some gauges, got the wiring fixed on the alternator and the regulator that was burnt. Now it charges properly. It's not overheating anymore. I'm just putting some miles on it, running around pretty much the neighborhood, my part of town, making sure I think everything's good on it before I give it back to the guy so he can cruise around for the summer and enjoy it. So make sure you like, subscribe, share with your friends, and let's get to the action. So one of the problems this came in with, it was the battery would drain overnight, and after I talked to him a couple of times after I got back from my trip, he said that it would set overnight and the alternator would get warm. Well, I'd already repaired all of this wiring on here and then I just never got back to it. But he said that the alternator would get warm sitting overnight, so I said, well, your regulator's probably stuck on. So you would hook everything up, put a voltmeter on here, and as soon as you would connect the battery, the voltage would just tank. It had such a load on it just because the regulator was turned on. So it was just, the alternator was just on, and it was just sucking power instead of making power. So checked on it, and the field wire had power on it constantly. So we threw a new voltage regulator on it and got it all hooked up. And now when you connect the battery, no change, no draw, more than it should be. I mean, I could have done a load test and milliamps, things like that, but this was such a draw, it was pulling the battery down overnight. So realistically, as soon as you hook it up with the voltmeter on it, you should see the voltage drop. And it did. As soon as I would connect it before and hook the battery up, the voltage would just, I could have it hooked up and unhook the connector, and as soon as I would connect this in and complete the circuit back to the regulator, the voltage would just drop. It would immediately go down to 11 and start to go down even farther because it had such a pull on it. You could undo that and the voltage would come back up. So that's when I did the diagnostics, figure out the regulator was bad, put one on it, and now battery's on, disconnected. We're sitting at 12.2 and it has not moved. So we'll move on to the next problem.